Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Heart podcast. In this podcast, we slow down and have genuine conversations about the things that touch our lives, our struggles or growth, and everything in between. One thing I'm learning in this podcast is if you do not push yourself to do things, you will not do them. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm pushing myself to do this episode, and I do the same every week or every time I get to record an episode because it's like my mind is telling me, will I be able to do this? Will it be good? Am I ready? Did I do enough research? And a series of endless questions. But one way to resolve this is to just do what you gotta do. So here I am, new episode, new topic, or at least it's new for me, the topic we're talking about today. It is about the concept of the five soul wounds. To be honest, I have heard about this very recently, and it made me understand some of the things that I do that were inexplicable because they were more of a response to a trauma and not an actual action by me. So, yeah, let's get into it. The concept of the five soul wounds. It comes from a French Canadian author. Her name is Lise Bourbeau. She has a book, it's called Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self, where she describes five core emotional wounds that deeply affect our behavior, personality, and life choices. So each wound typically originates in childhood and leads to the development of what she calls a mask. A mask is a coping mechanism, a defense mechanism, a protective behavior that we adopt to avoid further hurt. So we've been hurt in the past, there's some kind of wound, we're traumatized, and our brain doesn't like this. Our brain doesn't want us to be hurt. It wants to avoid future hurt. So it makes us do things, put on these masks that the author is talking about, because it's thinking that this will protect us. But will or does it really protect us? We will see together. So each wound from the five wounds has a corresponding mask. Number one, rejection. The core belief of someone who has suffered from rejection is I don't belong or I'm not wanted. Is they have this feeling that they're unwanted, whether by a parent or a caregiver, and it could be intentionally or unintentionally. Their behavior towards this is that they withdraw from others, they avoid relationships, they become or tend to become perfectionists, they feel invisible and unworthy, they put on the escaper mask. Because they fear rejection, they fear being unwanted, so they escape the whole thing. They avoid relationships, thinking that this way no one is going to reject them because they are not even there with people. And this actually explains the idea of ghosting. Like, I personally sometimes ghost people, and I didn't know why I do this. Because, when people ghost others or ghost someone, they're not actually ghosting the person, but they are trying to escape the fear of being rejected. So that's number one, rejection. Number two, abandonment. The core belief here is people will leave me, I can't be alone. Abandonment is linked to emotional or physical absence of a parent or a caregiver. Again, parents or caregivers are essential in these wounds. They play a huge role in this. People who suffer from abandonment, they start being clingy. They are clingy in relationships. They fear being alone. They constantly seek reassurance. They are so needy. They put on the dependent mask. They tend to depend so much on people because this way, it's one way of keeping them closely. So it's like, I don't want you to leave me. I can't be alone. So I will be so dependent on you. I will let you do every little detail for me in order to keep you close. And I actually realized that I suffer from this wound. Typically, each person suffers from a wound or two. So as I say the rest, think about yours, think about the wounds that you might have suffered from. Number three is humiliation. The core belief in this wound is I am shameful or I am not good enough. And it stems from being overly shamed, overly controlled, especially around bodily needs or natural desires. So it tends to develop a behavior of self sacrificing, seeking punishment, self sabotaging, even. So people who suffer from this wound, they tend to put on the masochist mask. Oh, I didn't know that word, but it means a person who enjoys humiliation, pain, or being hurt or controlled by another person. So they are gratified by pain and degradation because this confirms to their self image that they are not enough and that they are bad. For example, if a child is scolded or mocked every time they spilled food or made mistakes, they will grow up internalizing shame. As an adult, they may never accept compliments, they may always put others' needs ahead of their own. They will feel guilty when taking time for themselves, so they will sacrifice, self sabotage, and even burn themselves for the sake of others. Just because someone or a situation or a traumatic experience made them feel like they are not good enough. Number four, betrayal, also called trust wound. The core belief in this one is people can't be trusted or I have to do it myself. It arises from feeling let down by a parent who broke promises or was unreliable. The one suffering from betrayal starts to be controlling, domineering, impatient, and they hate weakness in others. They put on the controller mask. Because they were betrayed in the past, now they don't trust anyone and they want to control everything by themselves to make sure everything is going the way they want. Number five, injustice. The core belief is life is unfair or I must be perfect. It originates from growing up in a strict or emotionally cold environment where mistakes were not tolerated. It incites rigid, perfectionist, controlling emotions in the person. They have to suppress their feelings in order to seek fairness, or that's what they think. And in doing this, they are putting on the rigid mask. They think life is too harsh, and in order for them to survive, they have to be rigid and bold. So, for example, a child raised in a home where showing emotions was seen as being weak, this child learns to always appear strong and perfect. As an adult, they will struggle with expressing vulnerability. They will judge themselves and others harshly. And they will also have difficulty adapting to change or ambiguity. So these were the five wounds. Let's do a quick recap. 1, rejection. 2, abandonment. 3, humiliation. 4, betrayal. 5, injustice. Wound number 1, rejection, develops the escaper mask. Common traits are isolation, perfectionism, low self worth. Wound number 2, abandonment, develops the dependent mask. Common traits are being clingy, fearing loneliness, emotional highs and lows. Wound number 3, humiliation, It develops the masochist mask. Common traits are self sacrifice, guilt, over accommodating. Wound number 4, betrayal. It develops the controller mask. Common traits are dominating, distrustful, and proud. Wound number 5, injustice. It develops the rigid mask. Common traits are perfectionist, emotionally cold, self demanding. What's really eye opening about this is that you can understand the motives, the hidden motives of some of your behaviors. Like, for example, the ghosting thing. Sometimes you ghost people, but you don't actually mean to ghost them. You actually want people in your life, you want to connect, but at the same time, what you do is you ghost them. Maybe because that is the escaper mask. You're afraid of rejection. And the same applies to the other ones as well. The traits or the behaviors arising from these wounds are not always intentional or are not always 100% intentional. Sometimes our brain are just automatically wired to do this, thinking that they are avoiding pain. So determining your wounds or the wounds that you might be suffering from will help you understand yourself and some of the things that you do or how you interact with people. And you can even link them with the 5 love languages that we talked about in episode number 10. We said everyone has two or one or two main love languages. And actually, I think that these love languages has to do with the wounds that we're suffering from. For example, my main love languages are physical touch and words of affirmation, and it really matches. I guess when I thought about it, I found that it really matches my two dominant wounds, which are rejection and abandonment. So, because, for example, I fear rejection, I constantly need words of affirmation, assurance that I am wanted, that I am worthy. And the second one, physical touch, is caused by fear of abandonment. I fear being alone. I feel fear being unloved. So that's why I depend too much on people. I be so clingy and I want them to stay physically with me because this helps my mind decrease or get rid of the idea that I will be abandoned. So think about yours, think about your dominant love languages and your dominant wounds, and you can link them together and understand yourself, understand your behavior, understand your character, get a deep insight on you. Then you can consciously choose how to react. So, for example, when I understood, especially number 2, abandonment, when I understood that maybe my dependent attitude is due to the fear of being alone, now I want to deassociate them. I don't want to react based on a wound, but I want to do conscious actions that I am 100% convinced of. So that's one thing I'm trying to work on right now is not to be dependent because I am afraid of being alone. And I feel like with every wound, you have a core fear that needs to be addressed. For example, number 1, rejection. There's this fear of being rejected. Number 2, fear of being alone. Number 3, humiliation, fear of being disgraced. Number 3, fear of being let down. Number 5, injustice, fear of being wrong or fear of unfairness. And addressing these fears is mostly mentally, like it's always in our heads. If we put things in their place, if we look at things the way they actually are, not the way that our minds perceive it, things will be so much better. So that's it. I hope you guys liked the episode. I actually wanted to talk about how to deal with the core fears of each one, but I thought this will be too long. So I'll leave this to you. Think about ways that you can address these fears. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one, inshallah. Take care.